The following may contain language and subject matter which is only appropriate for some audiences. But since we're not very discriminatory here, everybody's welcome to listen. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the NoFact podcast. We're trying to get back into the swing of things.
Thanks.
So, we've kind of talked about this before, but I'm still kind of curious about it. I mean, I don't know what the big deal is, especially among the younger folks. Younger folks being like, 30 and under.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of faith in government from a lot of people, and I just don't understand that.
Well, I guess the opposite is what do you have faith in?
I don't. No. It's not the. That's not the point. I'm just
No, not like faith, like religion. Like if you don't trust government, do you trust the private sector?
No, I'm just wondering why there's so much faith in the government.
Because there's nowhere else to have it.
Is there?
I don't think so.
Well, then that's
And honestly, the government sucks ass too. So the faith there is not very useful.
why there's so much trust in government, or seeming trust. I mean, people seem to.
I think they like the idea of someone else solving issues instead of themselves.
That's bullshit.
I know, but that's probably the mindset. It's like if government can handle it, then I don't have to worry about it.
Then that's a dumb idea.
And that's the idea, whether it's dumb or not.
No,
That's kind of part of the idea.
No, it's still a dumb idea. Just saying, well, it's just the way that things are, so I can't change anything. That's stupid too.
Okay, what can we change?
I'm not advocating change for anything. I'm
I
just
know,
wondering. I'm just wondering why there's so much faith in government from people that are,
Because they're hoping they can change stuff.
that seems illogical.
That the government
Your
will change,
your statements just seemed illogical.
that the government will change things. Yeah, it's a little weird, but like I think that's the mindset. Like that's what they're hoping, that the government will solve a lot of their problems. Now maybe a little too much faith is put into the government. Actually, a lot of faith is put too much into the government, but that's what they're hoping.
Now, why would you sit there and think someone else would take care of you? They're not. I mean, everybody's not your parents.
Hey, I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but
I think you are.
Well, I have very little faith in the government. I don't really trust them for doing anything right. Just experiencing the DMV, I realized how much fucking red tape stops like normal ideas or just anything being done. But I don't really trust the private sector or much anyone else either. A dictator wouldn't be good. Having completely no government at all wouldn't be great either.
No one's advocating that.
And
No one here is advocating that.
I'm just in a very comfortable position right now.
Well, it's probably because we elect them, right? I mean, we elect people in government to be our representatives.
But that's different from having faith in the government.
But when you vote for someone, you have faith that they'll do something for you.
That's
Why else
really
do-
not a good thing to do. Then,
Why else do you vote?
if you would vote because someone has similar ideas to you and says, "I'm going to do this,"
Yeah, change something. You
not
don't
not
like-
necessarily change it.
or improve or whatever.
Or
your political
improve.
is.
None of that stuff. I mean, basically, the whole idea of voting for someone, I would think, would be in a representative form of government like we have here, is because this person is espousing ideas that you have. So you're like, okay, this person's going to represent me the way I want to be represented. I think that's different from having faith in the government.
But if you don't have faith in the government, why even vote in the first place? Whatever. It's not going to do shit because nothing happens in the government, and since you have no faith in the government, nothing will change. Everything's the same.
That's really a mischaracterization of what I said, though.
I know I'm trying to bastardize it right now because my argument's getting a little weaker as you become more logical.
What do you mean by faith? You mean like,
Not necessarily religion. You're kind of like hoping. You're hoping that the person you vote for will.
Well, if you want to substitute faith for trust, I mean, it's the same
I
deal.
think that's a better word.
so what is the purpose of government then?
That's really not what I was saying.
He's asking why is there so much trust in the government?
Why does there in tons of surveys and whatever, there are people that say that they have a lot of trust in government. There are a lot of people, younger people, 30 and under, that have a lot of trust in the military.
I didn't know the military one.
They do.
Interesting.
Among millennials and post millennials, there's a lot of trust in government, but there's more trust in military. And I'm kind of wondering why that is. And now, if either one of you can either speak from either firsthand knowledge or, well, even firsthand knowledge is kind of dumb too. But if you have an idea of why that is, then sure. Why do you think that is? Because I just don't get that.
Well, I think we would need to ask somebody who has a lot of trust in the government, because I don't think any of us have a lot of trust in government.
I grew up in a country where there's a lot of government services and people look to the government for a lot of assistance. So I think that's where the trust part comes in, because you're trusting that the government's going to take care of stuff. Does that make sense?
If that's what you think, I mean, it's not really does that make sense or not make sense type of question.
That would make more sense to me.
If you have a lot of trust in a certain institution, I'm kind of wondering why you would have that trust.
I grew up in a country where government takes care of a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of social services. There's a lot of people that are, struggling financially. You have the domestic purposes benefit, where the government helps families that are, financially destitute or in financial difficulty. And you also have things like, socialized medicine. I mean, all these things are managed by the government, so you kind of look to the government for support. And I think the faith comes from that. I mean,
The trust.
yeah.
What if you're an exception, though?
What's the exception?
All right, if you want to take the socialized medicine cue, socialized medicine only really works if you have a pretty easy thing to take care of. Because resources are finite. You want to get the most bang for your buck. So if you've got a cold, then you're cool. But if you've got cancer, then, well, you're kind
Screwed.
of...
It's a larger problem.
It's a more difficult problem. And if you're in a situation where solutions are not easy, not simple, but easy, then things just kind of break down. If you have a non-easy problem, medical problem, then socialized medicine is not
The best.
it's not even close to the best. It's almost ineffective. Right? If something can't be solved by 2 pain pills, then you're
Fucked.
you have a harder road to hoe. Like if you have a broken leg as compared to a headache, then
Who's going to the doctor for a headache? Fucking pussies.
in socialized medicine, everybody.
Sorry, I'm going on side tangent.
No, anytime you get sick in New Zealand, you go to see a doctor. And the doctor gives you some pills.
But as I was saying, if your problem isn't easy, then there's not much help.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are for cancer treatment in New Zealand.
I don't know that information would help.
I mean, I don't know how many people are actually getting treated for cancer and how many people are dying on waiting lists in New Zealand.
Depending on who you listen to, right? I mean, but even then, I would imagine there are more people dying on waiting lists with cancer than there are people with headaches.
That part I would agree with. That part I would agree that if you have something complicated, then
Hard. difficult.
difficult, then yeah, socialized medicine is not great.
So once again, we have not been able to answer the question, and so there you have it. Peace.
All right, thanks for tuning in to Low Fat Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Low Fact. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Low Fat Podcast. If you want to chat to us, send us some comments, or have us talk about some things, just send an email to lowfatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on our Twitter and Instagram pages at Low Fat Podcast, and also check out Andy's pages where he mixes our beats, Twitter and Instagram at Fantasy Beat, and you can also find his wicked ass shit on SoundCloud at Artificial Fantasy.